less human than that. No. No words. No words. Describe. I should have said. The poet. So beautiful.
My family is filled with poetesses, poets, musicians, Secretary Generals,
as as physical voyages of the Co-Federation, solar, sun, our starship, planet Earth, restored to heaven on our and every earth, as our spiritual, genealogical, local, global, universal voyager and shared her and his family community enterprise. Our new millennium year's mission to rediscover and re-understand, sustain, and explore our and all our, in fact, familiar new worlds of family community, of the tree of love, life, and light throughout the solar system and universe, to restore, renew, and sustain our and new life and new sustainable civilizations, past, present, retroactively, and now, balance, and future, always balancing, to loving, genealogically, and boldly become and be space-time travelers wherever and where we have interdimensional reality, all in part being before, yet also forever being before, in alternative space timelines that are circles, which are of the universal EQ, IQ, and SQ continuum, balance, combinations of the ever-expanding circle which spirals and grows, budding and blooming in space-time. Love and live enlightened, ever young, long, and prosper all, both in each and every one. Engage your heart, mind, soul, and body, finding all, both in each, and each, both in all. Can, must, and marvelously and miraculously make it so.
In the thunderous blast, she emerges, her eyes on fire, the mighty priestess. She is risen from the nativity of Caldera. She is risen from the fires of the earth. She is risen. She is risen.
We are risen.
She is risen. She is risen.
We are risen.
We all are risen by my intercession.
महालक्ष्मी मृडप्रिया महारूपा महापूज्या महापातकनाशिनी महामाया महासत्त्वा महाशक्ति महारथी महाभूता महेश्वर्या महावीर्या महाबला महाबुद्धि महासिद्धि महायोगेश्वरेश्वरी महातंत्र महामंत्र महायंत्र महासना महायागक्रमाराध्या ओम महाभैरवपूजिता महेश्वर महाकल्पक महातांडव साक्षिणी महाकामेशमतिथि महात्रिपुर सुंदरी चतुष्षष्टि उपचाराढ्या चतुष्षष्टि कलामयी महाचतुष्षष्टिकोटियोगिनी गणसेविता
My family is filled with poetesses, poets, musicians, co-secretary generals, co-stagers, equinox, true cues. She's just writing demonstration. That's why this features right now.
This day I call the heavens and the earths as witnesses intercessorily for and hopefully and prayerfully not against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose love and life with light, so that you and your children may live. For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not your, our new millennium.
Okay. I thought it was a tradition. Maybe made sunflowers for obscurity and blackness. This is Anna Marie, singing Christmas, and I am Cherokee, Cheyenne, Blackfoot, and Algonquin, Dakota. And I am also a French, English, and German. I have seen. That means we are all related. We embrace the new millennial golden rule as the law of all the natives, of the sacred ground that is Mother Earth, and all the planets of all the universes.
Welcome to our Starry Hours broadcast from the heart and headquarters of the one family of love and life in the light of balance of the Co-Federation of Earth and Planets of the New Millennial Golden Rule. Our main webpage is at 5050now.wordpress.com. We ask you to read the New Millennial Golden Rule, and beneath it read the 11 steps that make it so easy for you to save your planet and have eternal life on this and all planets of the universe. Now, what is blocking this situation on the planet Earth? We have many people who have internalized patriarchy, not only men who superficially benefit slightly from the patriarchal hierarchy, but also women. And as long as the genders maintain this, what is called the gender knot, and it is remaining in a hierarchy, and women are subjugated when it comes to decision making. And men are deemed of lesser importance to an extreme degree in family life. Then we wind up with this situation that we have on this planet. We have billions of people who are poor. We have a very small percentage who are so pointlessly over accumulated of pointless financial monetary wealth. We have huge stockpiles of nuclear weapons. We have nation against nation, and we have ethnic group and racial group against ethnic group and racial group. And we have people who have no love, and we have many millions and billions of people who have no trust for one another. And this is our condition. We are in the most fallen condition that has ever been. Now, we are as low as you can go. And what I find so fascinating is when I offer this light to people, most of them ignore it. That's how low it is. That's how low the condition is. I believe that many of the people of this society, especially North America, have reached a point of internal despair, and they refuse to try something new. They are also easily led by conventional thinking and keep watching television as if they did not know they were being lied to. They should know by now. They should know by now that their elections are not real, that they are shams, and this is all a show played by a patriarchal, oligarchical 1% on everyone else, and that this patriarchal, oligarchical 1% is sociopathic because they have become so embedded in patriarchy that their interactions with people are devoid of love and trust, even with themselves. They have no love for the greater universe and its potential. They have only a self-preoccupation. It is extreme egoism, and with no compassion for the struggles and the difficulties of others, and no belief in the potential of others either. Now, I have to be honest with you. I know that I have been working on this for a number of years now and received very little in the way of positive feedback. I have reached a point of despair that any presentation that I make, or intellectual offering, or group offering, or invitation, or new assemblage of people will assist those who are resisting my message so hard. They have been resisting this message for many years now. People that I love are resisting it the hardest. And they have absolutely no love for me. Zero. I am the most reviled and exiled of loving people. And this is what happened to Miriam of Nazareth, Miriam of Magdala, and Jesus of Nazareth. They also were reviled. And this is what happened to Miriam Lambert and Tom Lambert Payne. They also were ignored and reviled. And every light giver, including Elizabeth Cady Stanton and her sister Harriet, were ignored and reviled. It has always happened because humanity is stuck in patriarchy as long as the female will not rise and cooperate with herself and each other. The longest survived marvelous and miraculously happy time on this planet was under the civilization called Atlantis. And that civilization, the women were equal in the decision making, even maybe a little bit more of them involved in it than men. And it was the longest survived civilization, had enormous quality of life for all of its one family community citizenry. No war, and excellent arts, sciences, humanities, and sports that all people participated in and all people had time for. That was a paradise on this planet, and yet it was lost, and I believe it was lost because there is an attractive nature to patriarchy. It seems to afford privileges to a certain small few that appeal to the short-sighted egoism of people who, especially people who were not properly, adequately raised as babies with love and milk in on-cue breastfeeding enough so that they have well-developed EQ and, in general, a higher IQ and a creative Q and a spiritual Q and a bodily Q that allows them to protect themselves against the seductive nature of patriarchy. Patriarchy is very seductive. It offers men seemingly and arrogantly superior position. And for some men, this is an impossible lure to resist. They like being on top. They can't live without being on top. They want to thrust other men down and thrust women down so they can stay on top. And for some women, this is also a great lure because they live vicariously through the on-toppedness of their men, and they get a kind of sadistic satisfaction that says to the other women and other people, ha, 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 I bested you. This is appealing to people who were not well enough loved as children. This is appealing to them, and they cannot resist it. That's why we're stuck in this. It's an infantile level of development that people who were not well enough loved as children form a tendency toward. It is ape-like and it is egoistic and primitive. But it is highly habitual once begun. It is transmitted from generation to generation to generation by mothers failing to hold up the self-esteem of their daughters, and fathers also failing to do that. And also mothers and fathers saying to their sons, follow your father. Do what your father says. And the sons who do that retransmit patriarchy. And they belittle their sisters and their sister Kazinas. The sister Kazinas are scattered. They don't regard each other as valuable. They don't make any effort to maintain connection. And all of that feminine wisdom goes down, and none of the sustainability is allowed because the estrogen is missing and the testosterone is ascendant. And what do you wind up with? What we are looking forward to, I believe, right now, nuclear annihilation war, as well as Fukushima events all over this planet. We are looking forward to the ultimate plutonic result. And instead of having our Eleusinian mysteries, which is at this time of the year, that was the one that began through now an equinox, right now we are moving toward extinction very, very quickly. And, you know, women like myself and others who have understood the nature of the goddesshood, the importance of the estrogen, the gathering of women, the circle gathering of women, are tiring because the women that we know are ignoring us because their mental processes have been affected. They have been mind programmed, and they are moving like lemmings toward the cliff. They are going over. I can see it. But, you know, I am hoping one thing. There is in all of these people who like being on top and are willing to be lemmings and so forth, there is a little bit of life force. And sometimes when people get very, very close to the edge or even go over the edge, they have a moment of awakening. Oh my gosh, what have I done? And in that moment, since many of them have been given the seed by me of the New Millennial Golden Rule, they might have an epiphany that shocks them into the recognition that patriarchy is not what they want, and they do not want to die. In fact, they like life. They'd like to sustain life. They'd like to have their life back. And they'll say to Goddess God, Goddess God, forgive me. I did practice patriarchy too long. I did practice relational aggression too hard. I did ignore my sisters. I did ignore my sister Kazinas. I did degrade them. I did attack them. I did demean them. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to transmit this to my children. I'm going to tell my children that it's wrong. I'm going to tell my daughters, have high self-esteem and gather with each other frequently and often, and we'll gather with you. And I will tell my sons, do not try to take advantage of any woman. Do not belittle any woman. Do not think yourself better than any woman. You are not. You are slightly different, but you also have an X chromosome, and you are based and born of woman, and you cannot exist without a full and equal partnership with her, or you will destroy yourself. So, now the problem is we have many women in our society who are themselves patriarchal in the manner in which they handle each other and their children. They disdain each other, and they boss their children as if they were the worst kind of martinet in a Prussian army camp. Their children are bossed around within the confines of the home by their mothers. They have the same militaristic tone of voice as a Prussian general. And they say to their children, take your pills, and you're of no worth, and I do everything for you. It is all about me. And they say thump, 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 because in our society, many of the women have been thrust into a masculine role. Their single motherhood, instead of being shared in a circling fashion with other women who are experiencing it, where they could have built up a power base and taken care of their children well, has been lived in a context where they may be a single mother, but when they go to work, they are nothing but a drone in a male-dominated hierarchy of work and male-defined economic system, and they have adopted the values of men, and they are no longer functioning as mothers. They are functioning as fathers, even though they are female. So we have a society of fathers. And the rest of us who are not patriarchal are going, what in the world is going on here? What is going on with these people? Do they like bullying? Do they like holding everybody down and preventing the gifts of people from being shared? What's going on with them? And I have to say, I've experienced this from so many people, how quickly they move away from the idea of gender parity into some other obsession or deflection or a complete rejection of the concept of gender parity and the insistence that patriarchy is natural, which Atlantis proves it is not natural. They insist it though, and they're caught in their insistence, and they're caught unto death. So I believe that our society is now like water circling a drain going down. We are going down very quickly. I am nevertheless doing these broadcasts because I believe, as I said, that as you get very close to that death spiral, suddenly light begins to shine within you. And you say, my gosh, I don't want to die. I don't want my children to die. I don't want that. I don't want them to die. I don't want them to suffer, and I don't want them to die anymore. I want them to have eternal life, and I think that'll be a lot more fun. And we'll enjoy bopping between planet to planet and having a paradise of life on this one. I can imagine it. I can get it. I've been deprived of estrogen all my life, but all of a sudden, as I approach this moment of ultimate judgment, my estrogen is coming through. It's coming back up. That is what I hope for you children, because what I see you doing is that you are asleep and you are practicing patriarchy, and you are holding on to the patriarchy, and you are assaulting your daughters, and you are assaulting your younger sons with it. And you are pushing them into it and pushing them into it, whether or not they want to go there, and you've pummeled them so hard that some of them think that's the way they've got to be. and they are dying with you. To be loyal and to be obedient to the people who they thought cared about them. You are in a decayed state, a decadent moment that has never been before. I apologize to you. This in part occurred because most of my life I did not know I was cosmic Christ, and I myself was embedded in patriarchy without knowing it, made many, many errors that embedded the people that I love more into patriarchy because, you see, I was naive. I didn't know they were already so patriarchal, and I was always fair. And I was not genderist, and I kept waiting for them to show their fairness. And I kept giving them more and more chances to show their fairness and be fairer. And I didn't understand that they had a much more deeply embedded, learned habit of patriarchy than I did. And I didn't understand what was happening. I really didn't, and I still don't completely. I don't understand this level of need for a hierarchy and a father figure. I don't. I had a father. I loved my father, but I never regarded him as better than my mother. And I always knew my mother was very important. Clearly, this is not the case with many Americans. They do think their fathers are more important. And this is not only true of Americans, but this is true of many Russians and many Chinese and many people in the Middle East. They think their fathers know more and are more important. And there is where the problem remains. And some of them feel this so hard that when women rise to try to be equals of men, they resent them. And then we had this whole other terrible phenomenon here in North America with our women's liberation groups, our feminist groups being obsessed with abortion. That really blew this situation to smithereens, because abortion is a derivative problem of patriarchy. The need to handle unwanted pregnancies comes out of a society where women have low self-esteem and are easily preyed upon. And if you don't address the patriarchy and expect mostly male governments to protect you from the forced having of unwanted children, well, you know, you're setting yourself up. The decision-making process has to include the full parity of women in order for there to have the gender relationships in the society to avoid most unwanted pregnancies in the first place and make sure that all pregnancies are wanted. So the women who went after this issue in isolation from representation and the other big balance factor of love and work and family bonding really were causing they were throwing a megaton bomb into this situation. And therefore, men became very alienated from feminists, and many women did too. And instead of the divine feminine rising, it became a source of conflict and confusion and scarring in the minds of many, many women, so that they could no longer seek equality. They became so protective of the unborn child that they stopped thinking of their own gender as important. And so we have now a casualty. The whole North American continent is in a tailspin of patriarchy by default, divided women who cannot talk to each other and will not, sisterhood that is non-existent in the minds of too many women, and actually physically and mentally resisted. They really don't want to talk to another woman about anything important, and they want that daddy to give an order of what to do. Therefore, this society and this world is tanking. We are in a plutonic moment, and I am thinking and praying to the Mother Goddess God that although I can't seem to get in front of this and I can't seem to stop this juggernaut, that God, Mother, Father, Goddess, God will titrate the blows you are giving to yourself by adhering to patriarchy instead of having parity in decision making, and that by that titration, it will give you time to say, my Goddess God, I don't want this. I don't want a 3 Mile Island accident. I don't want a near Fukushima. I don't want this kind of battling among nations. I don't want it. I don't want most of the women of my culture to be on drugs. I don't want this. I don't want children to have no parents and no mother love and no breastfeeding. I don't want this. And you will begin to rise up out of the sheer obviousness of your situation and the shocks to your system that are about to begin. Because friends and family, I do not have the answer to your resistance. You resist me as if I was a plague. And I have all the blessings to give you. It is the most strange irony I have ever seen in my life. And every time I rise and try to assist people, some idiot comes along and says, we're going to stop you from communicating. So, I guess he wants to die on top. I say that even as he approaches that moment of death, he will not want it. He will say, I didn't want this. This isn't what I wanted. I wanted life, not death. So let's hope that that's what occurs, because frankly, you've all gone quite bonkers. And I am slow in dealing with you because I'm reeling from, I feel like I'm being slimed all the time by people who are so embedded in patriarchy, they can't even respond to my words. There's no response at all. I have not received any response. I am like, I'm here, I'm preaching, I'm doing gorgeous things to give you gifts, and it's entirely ignored. All I get is people hanging up the phone on me and not answering the phone. And when I bring up the issue of parity, they hang up. You have to get closer to the edge, I think. I think it's the only way you're going to be saved. I think the only way you're going to become risen is to nearly die first, or maybe even die, and I will have to resurrect you. I'm going to try to keep my energy level up. I am slowed in my efforts on your behalf by the sheer enormity of your resistance and the total lack of cooperation among women in North America. I can't imagine. Obviously, people know about my website. I've sent emails hundreds of thousands to people of times, and certainly directed toward those activists who would be most interested in it. And I have received virtually no comment on the website and no cooperation, no offers of cooperation at all. So it's pretty interesting, isn't it? I don't know if I can save this world, but I know that you need someone to try, and I am trying. You deserve someone who would try to be your Messiah. That much you certainly deserve. Someone who is there for you when you reach your ultimate moment of truth. I shall be there for you. I love you. Mother, Father, Goddess, God has always loved you and is also very much crying for the way you have degraded what you originally intended yourselves to be. What they intended you to be. They intended you to be divine beings capable of divine democracy and enlightenment. You have become worms and dragons of cruelty toward oneself and toward one another. It is not what you were designed for. You have thrown off the balance of the pink and green and rainbow colored, as including but not limited to blueprint that Goddess God designed you to be. You have thrown it way off. It couldn't be farther off. The women are men and the men are men, and nobody is female. Even the men have forgotten their X chromosomes, or they have such an exaggerated passivity in an imitation of femininity with none of the staying power and endurance to protect children. And that isn't the way it's designed to be anyway. Women are supposed to be the primary protectors of children by virtue of their estrogen, although men are also supposed to learn a great deal from this and also internalize that value. We don't have that going on. We have a lot of kids being raised in poorly funded daycare centers and very little real bonding to their family and almost no extended family interaction. So we're in a mess. I can't imagine it worse. And as a result, what does humanity do? The wars escalate, the racial tensions escalate, the internal civil unrest escalates, and the boot to try to suppress it escalates, and it is a situation almost impelling a nuclear war and the annihilation of humanity. I feel we are in free fall, but I have given you the new Millennial Golden Rule, and it is easy to implement. And if you will cooperate with me, I can guide you in how we can bring it to the world quickly and stave off this terrible disaster that we're having. I love you. You know who you are. Some of you I love so particularly deeply, and you show no love for me, and that is a sign of how mentally disturbed you have become. You really are depraved. You're demonic. And I love you anyway. I think you have the light within you and the budding, blooming flowers, marvelous, miraculous within you. But you've hidden it very, very deeply into the darker recesses of your being. And I hope we can bring it forth. So enjoy the website, and we'll let you look at our screen share and visit our website. It doesn't matter to me if they don't make it. I really don't even care anymore.